So, Crystal Palace qualified for the Europa League by winning their first piece of major silverware in their history. Of course, last season they won the FA Cup, but ever since then there have been question marks about whether Palace would be allowed to compete in the Europa League this season, all because of UEFA's multi-club ownership rules. Now, since then, there have been a number of different developments regarding this, because the whole question mark came about essentially because John Textor, one of the minority shareholders in Crystal Palace until very recently, also owns Olympique Lyon over in France as well, who of course qualified for the Europa League on top of that. And furthermore to that as well, even if Palace were kicked out of the Europa League, they wouldn't be allowed to compete in the Conference League either, as another one of Palace's investors also owns a club, I believe it's in Denmark, and because of the way the UEFA League qualification effectively works, it's basically whoever qualifies from a higher league position. Palace down in 12th last season, I think it was, would not have qualified, as that Danish side was higher up in the Danish Super League, and it's a similar scenario as well for Lyon. But since then, there have been a few different developments. Now, the first thing that a lot of people will point to is the fact that Lyon have just been relegated from Ligue 1 over in France due to financial mismanagement. Now, again, people will say, well, Lyon have been relegated. Surely then that means that Palace are in the Europa League. No, not quite. Because even though they've been relegated, they still finished in that 6th position, if I do remember correctly. I know it's up around 5th, 6th anyway, where they were. But they still qualified from their league position. Since then, they have been relegated, but they've not lost their league position. Their results from this season still stand. So, as things stand, Olympique Lyon over in France, they'll be playing in Ligue 2, the second tier of French football, but they will also be playing in the Europa League too. So their spot in the Europa League is still there. Now, of course, there are question marks around the finances of Lyon. There are rumours that potentially they could be kicked out of the Europa League because of financial mismanagement. But as things stand at the time of recording, they are still in the Europa League. So things have not changed for Palace on that front. But on the multi-club ownership front, things have changed. Textor has sold his stake in Crystal Palace. He sold it to the owner of the New York Jets over in the United States. So Textor is no longer involved in Crystal Palace. Now, to most people, that would mean, well, it's not a multi-club ownership thing then. He's gone from that. But they still need to satisfy UEFA on this. And a decision is coming today on the 27th of June 2025. For what it's worth, I do believe Palace will be fine. They will stay in the Europa League, and they deserve it. They've been incredible this season, just gone absolutely. And I want to see what Glasner can do with Crystal Palace over in the Europa League as well. A side that have never played in Europe before, but they have a manager who has won the Europa League. Of course, he did win the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt a few seasons ago. So I'm excited to see it. So the UEFA Executive Committee will decide this today. Eagles fans, look to the news, see what happens. We'll bring you any updates as they come here on the channel, guys. But as I record this, that decision has not yet been made. I do believe they are speaking right now as I record this. So a decision is expected pretty soon. But yeah, guys, what do you think? Does Textor selling his interest in Crystal Palace free up all the pressure on this? I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always. Guys, have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world today, and we'll see you very soon. And good luck to Palace. I hope you get in the Europa League. You deserve this. Because one thing to bear in mind as well, European spot, if it goes from Crystal Palace, it could well go to Brighton. Of all clubs, Brighton would get that spot potentially in the Conference League, and Forest would go up to the Europa League. I believe that is potentially what would happen, but anyway, we'll deal with that if it comes.